Oh, oh, this is hilarious. So I didn't realize I didn't have the intro on. So I thought we were in the intro as I was just moving around, getting a couple of things done. So, hey guys, welcome to this week. And boy, what a week it has been. Holy banana bread. Um, let's just call it New Year Buffles. New Year Buffles. We buffled that one for sure. So wow, that was fun. Yes, we are live. I did not know. I was quite literally working on something over there, working on something over here. Um, I thought I had that 1 minute. I thought I was in the 1 minute, but nope, nope. We are live. All right. Okay. So, guys, welcome to 2025. Fantastic to be here. There will be some changes. There's going to be some changes coming along. So, first off, subscriber sponsored video. We did that as a trial run last year. We were doing it where $20 you could get a subscriber sponsored video. You could choose anything you wanted, whether it be a deep dive, a regular video. That was really popular. So we are going to continue with that. We are knocking it up though to $25 because it was kind of 20 was an introductory. So that is available today if you do want to cut the vote and get yourself a particular deep dive on any video. That is an option today. So obviously, first come, first serve. We'll definitely look at that. All right. Another change. It's not going to take place this month. It's going to take place next month, only because I didn't really give you guys warnings. We're going to start petering out the, actually, petering's the wrong word. We're going to start spreading out the free memberships, meaning that instead of doing them all front loaded on that first Sunday, we're going to spread them out throughout the month. We'll bring them up here and there as we're moving along. Today, though, as I said, we're going to start that next month. We're going to go ahead today with some memberships. So that's kind of fun. All right, now, another new little thing. We're going to try this. It just kind of fun as we go through the month. We of course get we get the supers and all of that fun stuff that come along, but I've had some feedback that people for some reason love it when I eat the bomb. So if you'll notice up in that top corner, we got ourselves a little countdown. That is the da bomb countdown. So every time we get a super that comes into the channel, that counter is going to go up. So if by the end of January we get to 25, I'm going to have to eat some da bomb for you guys. Yeah, it's I'm kind of like, it's kind of like, do I really want it to get to the top? But anyway, that'll just be a little fun thing, and that will change as we go along. Because I think, let me check it. Let me make sure this works first. Let's make sure this works here. Oh yeah, look at that. Yeah, it works. All right, perfect. So we'll keep track using the da bomb counter. Just something fun to throw on to the stream, of course. Oh, another little thing I wanted to throw out there. So as you guys know, I am going to be doing a few sponsored videos coming up over the next couple of months. So those sponsored videos are going to, I'm going to make them as bonus videos. I was sort of thinking, do I want them to take a regular slot? And I'm saying, no, they're just going to be bonus videos. So when the first one comes out, probably later this month, it'll be a bonus one. It's not going to take a slot. And holy banana bread. we got Jordan in here with a super. So of course, right away, that makes Jordan the GOAT. So thank you very much, Jordan. And that moves us one step closer to DEFCON 25. I guess we're kind of going in the opposite direction because I think DEFCON counts down, right, to 1. But we're moving up. We're moving up. All right. Guys, this is moving so fast. Let me very quickly try to get caught up here a little bit with the comments. All right, Jonathan, am I late? No, you're not. Of course you're not. You're never late, except for that one time that you were late. Mario is in the house with a good afternoon. Prairie is happy Sunday and happy New Year, Candace and community. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Bismarcky in the house. Happy Sunday to everyone. We got our good old buddy Niece. Hey, all. Hopes you had a great New Year celebration. I hope you guys all had a really good year this year. The only thing that can top it is if you have an even better year in 2025. So let's see how that goes. We got Muggsy in the house with a yep, we hear ya. Hello, happy Sunday. And we are live. Yes, yes. Those of you who joined late, I normally have my countdown. It was accidentally turned off and I thought it was running, so I was just doing stuff as we were live. What can I say? Jonathan says, show glitches make things more fun. Yeah, absolutely. Hello, happy New Year. Hello, King of Day. Always good to see you. Mary is in the house with a hello. So guys, that means slam that like button. Let's get some folks in here. I'll have some coffee while you guys are doing that. That slurped a little bit. GA says, hi, everyone. Funny Book says, happy New Year. Larry is in the house with my first never got anything done weekend. Play EU4 and watched cartoons. Let's see, Sunny's Churchy Roll anime scription app. Ooh, so I usually try to learn something new, but you know what? There's nothing wrong with having an off week. Or a weekend anyway. Jordan says, well, let me start that off. And you did. And Jordan did. Jordan had come in with that super, of course, and has knocked our little timer up. Oh, boy. Prairie says, let's see, got to have weekends like that once in a while. Absolutely. Bleak says, hey, all. And Roku says, happy New Year. I'm not late. No, you're not. That is a good thing. All right. Let me very quickly jump over here. All right. Pete Off Canadian says, can't wait for your picks on the 7th. I just finished editing that video, quite literally about a minute ago. Well, not a minute, but a minute or so before the stream. So yeah, it is done. I'll have it uploaded tomorrow morning. So the channel members, they'll be able to see it early. And everybody else will, of course, see it at 3 p.m. on Tuesday. So, all right, here we go. Let's drop one of these memberships right now for you. We'll see who wins. If you win, you'll be able to see this video tomorrow. Jordan is the winner. Congratulations, Jordan. All right, and yeah, awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I got a lot of great content planned, so we're definitely going to be having some fun with that. Yeah, there's just so much. Actually, the next video after this one on Thursday, we're actually going to look at quantum stocks. So we're going to get into that. Now that was, if you remember the contest we had for 5,000 subs, that was actually the second place prize. So Funny Books has chosen that, and I will be looking at quantum the rest of the week, so we can pull up a pretty good video on that as well. All right, All Sorts is in here with a good afternoon all. All right, and we're getting some congrats there for Jordan, who won a channel membership. All right, let's see. Jonathan says congrats. Pete Off Canadian says, I love this channel. I always think you should have way more subs. Well, it just, you gotta, it's that thing, those little things like hitting the like button. Those are the things that push it out, and that's how more people get in. But we are growing steadily, and slow and steady still wins the race. Although you never know. All it takes is one video to blow things up big time. So I'm always optimistic. And the funny thing is, if you guys remember, I did a video not that long ago on QQQY. So somehow that video ended up at Evolve, who owns that ETF, and they were watching it and saying, oh, we like this video. That's how I got a sponsorship from them, guys, because they watched a video. Simple as that. All right. Happy Face. thanks all. Northern Gal is in the house, quietly lurking. Hello and Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you as well. All right. And guys, we do have all of the news stuff as well. There's all kinds of stuff going on. Let's actually drop in on our first news story. That way there we can at least say we broke into the news a little bit here. All right, give me a second here. I'm going to pull up. This is something I normally do while I'm in that that moment where I was live and didn't know it. So what can I say? All right. So our first story of the night is called "Please, Please Resign, Trudeau." Oh boy. So as you guys have probably been hearing, more and more MPs are calling for Trudeau to resign. And we're not talking about conservative MPs. They've been calling for that for a long time. But the Liberal MPs are turning on Mr. Trudeau. So over the holiday, a clear majority of Quebec Liberals sounded the call for Trudeau to resign. So even his Quebec people, they're fed up too. So this, of course, follows a call from the Ontario Liberal Caucus for Trudeau to step down. And so also did the Atlantic Canada Caucus has stepped up and said, yep, it is time for you to go. So, is he going to figure this out? Now, him and his family, of course, went off to BC for the holidays so they could enjoy some skiing. I did see a few clips of people telling him off from BC. So, oh boy, what can we say? Now, interestingly, the Liberal Party of Canada this week then went and released an advertisement on social media, basically promoting Justin Trudeau and some of his policies, such as dental care and the whole $10 a day childcare. Crazy stuff. Now, for those of you who've been around on the internet this weekend, you might have seen this new crazy rumor that's been starting. I watched it on a YouTube channel. Now, it was a right channel. So I think it was from a member of parliament, a conservative member of parliament. And she is convinced. She's convinced he's going to resign before tomorrow or tomorrow, either one or the other. And that this emergency meeting of the cabinet on Wednesday is to get themselves ready for for a membership convention. So that's, or just a race. So that'll be interesting to see. What's going to happen if he steps down? Will they appoint, an interim leader? That would be kind of crazy. In that sense, Poilievre is not our next prime minister. It's whoever they appoint, who will then, of course, have their, get their pants served right back to them in the next election. So there's so many things that are going on, and we really don't know. Are we going to get a proroguement? Are we going to get to that vote of non-confidence? Will the NDP finally do what they say? So this is kind of interesting. It's like one of them cliffhanger shows, but I think this week is going to be telling for sure. I can't wait personally. I think it'll be fun. I think it will be a lot of fun, and we're definitely I think our show next weekend, we are definitely going to have some very interesting news on Trudeau. No doubt about it. Can we finally say goodbye to Trudeau? I'm hoping. I am really, really hoping. And I know a lot of you are hoping too. So let's cross our fingers and hope for sure. All right. Ian is in the house with a hi, everyone. We have Verena with a hi, everyone. Happy New Year. Ian says, this political unease must be bad for the economy. Oh, it's not good. It's not good. And here's the thing. I mean, we have the whole issue coming up with Trump's threat for those 25% tariffs. So there's a lot of stuff floating around that needs to be dealt with. That needs to be priority number one. But right now, everybody's more or less worried about Trudeau resigning. And I'm just hoping. Now, if we do have, let's say, Trump is not happy when he comes in on the 20th. And let's say he does drop those tariffs. I mean, we'll survive. We will. It's not going to be great for the economy, but we will survive. And Trudeau will probably get out faster if that happens as well. And if we get pushed in and hopefully get an election, get well, in this case here, whether we get the Conservatives in, let's get them in. Let's get this fixed. Let's get this sorted out. And I know there was a big interview between Polyev and Jordan Peterson. I've seen bits and pieces of it, and I think part of the things that I did see is where Polyev was sort of setting out, hey, look here, Mr. Trump, Donald, here's how we can sort of fix this, and I liked it. I actually thought, okay, good, there's a plan in place. I think Trump will be very receptive to it. So let's see what happens. I think this week is going to be really, really interesting. Also says place pressure on your MPs and the Governor General. Yeah, absolutely. And Paul is saying he's too stupid to take the hint. It's either stupid or just arrogant or narcissistic. It's hard to say. He just does not want to give up. So I don't know what's going on there. Let's see here. Whoops. Pete Off says Trudeau has united this country like it has never been. We nearly all want him out at this point. Yes. You know what? This is interesting. It doesn't matter if you're right, left, central. I think everybody just wants him to step down. It's time. It's time. Do it now. Do it now. Trudeau, if you're watching this, I doubt he is. Listen to me, dude. Step down. Do it. Do it. Norman says, 10 lost years, generation of youth in Canada, no jobs, no rental apartment, 10 lost years. Yeah, no, it's difficult. And here's the funny thing. I don't want to say funny thing. We're in a situation that as the baby boomers start retiring, and we need more and more support to that big, large group of people, it is going to put a lot of pressure on the younger people. Absolutely. It's not going to be great. So, yeah, I don't know what to say. Actually, if you want to see it even worse, look at a country like Japan, where there is so many people in that upper echelon of ages. That's going to be, it would be brutal to be a young person trying to work in Japan and trying to pay for all of that support. We're heading in that direction. We absolutely are. So we need to get Canada's economy. We need to get it in a better spot right now. I think it's a high priority. Mario says, if Trudeau leaves the party, we will need a national holiday. Yeah. Do we? I don't even know if we have a holiday in January, but that would be good. That would definitely be good. Also, it says it ought to be an exciting week. I agree. I think this is going to be a really, really good week. Thai says, under his leadership, we have the worst relationships with India, the U.S., and China. Yeah. I mean, and the U.S. is our friends. They're our closest ally. We should never even say that we're having bad relationships with them. It shouldn't even be something even uttered. Norman says, let's see, all of Canada, multimillionaire, playboy, Justin Trudeau, narcissistic personality, and phony politician, rigged elections, stolen taxpayers' money. Well, you won't have to worry about him much longer. That's what I'll say to that. Also, it says investments went up investments went up when Donald Trump was elected, and it took a nosedive when Chrystia Freeland resigned as finance minister. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was the uncertainty as well. There were a lot of factors, but that absolutely messed things up, her stepping out. Now, I understand why she did it. If she has ambitions to be the prime minister, I don't think she would be a good choice. Well, here's the thing. She could be a good choice, and I'll tell you why. If I was running the Liberal Party and I got Justin Trudeau out and I'm looking for an interim leader, do I want to put somebody in who actually has potential? Because they're going to lose badly in the next election. Maybe, Chrystia Freeland might be sort of setting herself up to get that role, that interim leader role, only because she's considered to be expendable at this point. So that's kind of an interesting concept. So we have to sort of see how this is all going to play out. It's going to definitely be interesting nonetheless. Jet lag is in the house. Happy New Year from Vancouver. Why, hello. Vancouver, beautiful city. Um, I think I would rather be in Vancouver than here today because it's mighty cold up here in Ottawa. Lisa's in the house. I was just watching it and I put it on pause to go live with you guys. Oh, the Polyev interview. Interesting. Yes. I know JJ was mentioning to me early saying, "Did you watch it? Did you watch it? That's what the show should be about. It should be about that." And I'm like, "We got news. We got all kinds of news." Northern Gal says the governor general cannot do anything except avoid proroguement and ask for a confidence vote. Too much power for the prime minister. Yeah. And that's the thing. That's the thing. This is kind of for me that one of the, I don't know if I call it the worst case, but if we get a situation where Trudeau waits to the last minute and then asks for a proroguement, um, that sort of puts government on hold for, you need a leadership convention. Now, probably they wouldn't give him a full 2 months. They might give him like a month and a half and say, get it done fast. But yeah, I guess I kind of would rather have an election at this point. I know before I said I'd rather have a proroguement because I'd like to see the Liberal Party try to rebuild themselves a bit, but I don't know if they can at this point. It's starting to get bad. Call an election. Yeah. And the Liberal Party has no mechanism in their constitution to remove him. Yeah, I have a feeling they may want to relook at their constitution after this whole mess. Bismarcky says next holiday is Family Day, I think. Maybe, yeah. I don't know. And I don't even know when that is, to be honest. It's funny. That's in February, I believe, but I really could be wrong at this point. Roku says a lot of boomers have money and can retire early. Make room for the next generation. Yeah, there are definitely a lot of boomers who have money, but there's also a lot of boomers that can't afford to retire. I know my mom can't afford to retire. Now she's in her mid 70s and she's still working. So, it's one of those things. But like I keep telling her, I'm like, look, you need to retire. Like I think she has enough money now to do it, but she still hasn't. She still hasn't. All right. Guy says, Happy New Year from Sudbury. Yes, it's probably cold in Sudbury too. I know right now I think there's like a polar vortex coming down. I think it's going through Sudbury and heading over here to Ottawa. All right. Aline says, Bonne année de Montréal. That was my attempt. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Also the same for you. Let's see. Freeland was just as bad as Justin Trudeau, says 9. Yeah, and that's the thing. I think even if she wasn't as bad as Justin Trudeau, her association with him, it's kind of tainted her. It's kind of tainted her. And I think she was. And it's funny. Every time I even think of her, I always think of that stupid Disney Plus comment, and it really annoyed me. So, oh boy. Northern Gal says January is January 1st, New Year's Day. Okay, yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah, I keep forgetting that New Year's Day is, of course, in January, but yeah. February is Family Day, the third Monday. Okay. All right. Norman says, Canada is a country that can get rid of Justin Trudeau in war Canadian people successful. Yeah, once again, we'll see. He's going to be gone. He's going to be gone. It's just a matter of how and when, but we know he's gone this year no matter what. Worst case scenario, he's gone. I'm just hoping. I really, really hope. That's all I want. Tomorrow I want to hear the good news, or even if it goes to Wednesday when they have the emergency cabinet meeting. I just want to hear the words, I quit. Those are the words I want to hear, or I resign, or whatever elegance he puts in and however he tries to window dress it. Just get it done. Get it done and over with. All right. Let's see. Lisa says, I think Family Day is on my birthday this year, but it doesn't matter anymore since I retired. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. That's right, because you just recently retired. All sorts says 9. Was he that bad? I will say this. He wasn't that bad initially. I was actually even okay with him up into the pandemic, but I think in the pandemic he started making a lot of bad calls. That's when I really started sort of looking at it and saying, come on. And then I think the big defining moment is when he called the election in the pandemic, the one that we didn't need to have. I think at that point, a lot of people lost faith in him, and things were in my opinion, things were downhill from there. And now we're at that point where, and this is the funny thing, Verena, it works this way. Like, we're all sort of jumping down on Trudeau at the moment. But here's the thing. It works both directions, right? So let's, once we get Poilievre in and the Conservatives, after about 10 years of Conservatives, we're going to be ready for Poilievre to go. That's just the way it is. A lot of people, now there will be some people who will be lifetime fans, but the general majority, it's about 10 years, I think, roughly, that Canadians are just get desperate for a change. And it doesn't matter if it's a Conservative prime minister or a Liberal prime minister. It's going to happen both ways. So, 10 years from now, we'll probably be complaining about Poilievre. But, it's just the way it goes. It's the way it goes. Prairie says, I don't know what bothers me more. Justin Trudeau dragging his feet or all of our money going to pensions because he and Singh stayed in office this long. Oh, yeah. What can we say? Let's see. Or the writ is dropped. The Liberals will be gone in Canada. They won't be gone. I mean, they will. There's a good chance that they could get to a point where they have even less seats than party status. But keep in mind, that happened to the Conservatives once, too, a long time ago. It happens. It happens. So they will get back. They will come back. They will get a better leader, a new leader. And eventually, as time goes by, popular opinion will change again. The Liberals will be back, no doubt about it. Let's see. Nine says, agreed. He dropped the ball big time during the pandemic. Jersky's in the house with a hello, happy Sunday. Chris says, can't imagine Pierre freezing bank accounts. No, I can't either. That was the thing. That was, during the pandemic, some of the things, were handled, like the War Measures Act. That might be a little bit of that was an overkill on trying to solve, a perceived problem. Guy says, Candace, will 2025 be a boom year for TELUS or bust? Lots of different opinions on YouTube. Everybody seems to be going back and forth. If you watched my prediction video, the 2025 one, I did say that telecommunications is going to struggle in 2025. They're going to come up a little bit. Like, I think TELUS will have a green year overall, but they're not going to have a lot. You're not going to get impressive. I don't even think they're going to beat the market. I think they might be slightly, like, I am thinking that the TSX will be green in 2025, but I don't think TELUS, I think they'll still be green, but they won't beat the market. So yeah, I think TELUS will struggle. Rogers will struggle. Bell's will struggle. Now, there are things that they can do that will certainly help them long term. Like for example, Bell. I think if they were to cut that dividend, that would probably be good for them long term. But it comes down to, will they do it? Because they could be looking, say, look, once we're back to where we were, that dividend really isn't that big. But I still think health-wise right now, the problem is there's too much stagnation. There's not a lot of area for telecommunications to grow. And they're also spending a lot of money as they're finishing up. Like, they've got most of the 5G stuff. All the cities are done. They're fine. But right now, they're pretty much working on all of the rural areas. And that's a lot of extra investment. So in a sense, they're not doing as bad as it looks like they're doing. It's just that a lot of their money is not going where it could be going. It's going into the 5G investment. And that's going to continue in 2025. So I think it's going to be tough on them for sure. Yeah, exactly. Invoking the Emergencies Act. 10 years of Pierre, no thanks. Yeah, and that's the thing. We don't know how things are going to go. If he goes in and completely botches his first 4 years, maybe he won't be around that much longer than that. But it's really hard to say. You also have to look too. There is one phenomenon that a lot of people aren't talking about right now. And this is a world phenomenon. A lot of people, because the world has gone through severe inflation, it's caused a cost of living crisis pretty much everywhere. And almost every government that's gone up for election who was in while all of this crisis was going on are getting their butts thrown out. We've seen this time and time again. I mean, it even happened, you could even say that, part of Trump's election was kind of part of that phenomenon because, Biden was in there while people were suffering with high prices and everything. And change is what everybody wants. Change is what the world wants. And we're seeing governments everywhere just getting thrown out on their butts. And this is another case of that happening. But in this case, it has been 10 years. And normally, Canadians can't handle more than 10 years of any one particular person. Right. Ian says, let's see, Justin Trudeau was always being compared to his dad. Makes me think it messed with his head. Guy was not as smart as his father. My dad hated his dad, but my dad said he was smart. JT is not. Maybe. I mean, and that could be the case too. I mean, you got to look too that coming up in that situation and being, and having to live in the shadow of his father. And I don't think he ever got out of that shadow. So yeah, I would agree. Let's. Terry said, I watched an interview with a vampire. People like Justin just don't disappear that easily. Yikes. That's kind of funny, Terry. All right. Prairie says, totally agree. Mackenzie King is the exception. Good old William Mackenzie King. Oh boy, yeah. I finally caught up, guys. So you know what that means? That means we can actually pull up another news story. I mean, we can still talk about Trudeau as much as you guys want to, but we're going to still get through the news slowly. I'm in no hurry. All right, so we got a news story about, well, sugar. So Canada is becoming one of the chocolate capitals of the world. So in 2023, Canada exported more chocolate products than any other country in the world. That's pretty cool. So this means that sugar producers have a very keen, well, they're being very keen to produce production and meet that growing demand. So that's kind of big. So this does, of course, mean that sugar producers are they're looking to do things like expand. So Roger Sugar, so RSI, they've already invested $300 million to expand their Montreal refinement plant, which is, if they do that, well, they are doing that. Once they're complete, it will be a 20% boost in their production. So that's actually pretty cool. I know we mentioned, I think it was last week on the show, we were talking a little bit about Roger Sugar. Now, Redpath Sugar and Sucro Can Sourcing, they're also looking to make expansion moves. Sucro is actually dropping $135 million to build. They're calling it Canada's largest sugar refinery. So that's pretty cool. Now, another interesting part to the sugar story is that there's pretty strict sugar regulations in the US. And because of that, more chocolate and candy companies are now setting up shop and expanding their production in Canada so they don't have to deal with those regulations. Hershey, they bought back their old chocolate factory in Ontario, and the U.S. chocolate maker Bloomer Chocolate is expanding its Ontario site. And snack giant Mondelez International, they've invested 250 million USD to boost their manufacturing in Ontario as well. So that's pretty cool. I have been looking at RSI, and I'll tell you, once we're finished the news, we'll have to go over and take a gander at it. But I'm liking it. I'm liking it big time. Jersky says, I'm not sure Canada will ever financially recover from JT's time in power. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. It's going to take, I think it'll take decades to sort of undo all of the money printing and everything else. We may look and say, okay, yeah, inflation is good now, but cost of living and actual Canadians, you don't have the buying power that you had before the pandemic. Almost as far as I know, I mean, I don't think any of us do. And that's the thing. Cost of living has just gotten so much bigger. Even though we've got inflation under control, that doesn't mean those prices are coming down, because they're not. It just means they're not going to go up as fast. They're still going to go up. So it's, yeah, It's going to take a while, I think, for Canada to get out of this mess. Um, and the nice thing is, Polyev did say, for those of you who are not a big fan of the carbon tax, he said he's getting rid of that on day one. So that's going to be interesting, or at least put in the legislation to get rid of it. It'll still have to go through the Commons to repeal that. Guy says, remember I talked to you about Roger Sugar? Yes, exactly. And I was doing that when I was going through the news this week, and I saw the Roger Sugar story, and I'm like, yeah, we were just talking about that last week. I couldn't remember who it was, but yeah, thank you, Guy, for reminding me that it was you. Yeah. Let's see. 2 sugar refineries in BC have shut down. Oh boy. I'll tell you, that may not be the best thing. That may not be the best thing right now. So we'll have to see whether BC will regret that fact, or at least, whoever it was responsible for that. Liberals must have got a supplier of sugar cane. Maybe, I'm not sure. Ian says, Strange America has tighter regulations than Canada on sugar production. Normally, it's the other way around. Yeah, I know, exactly. That's kind of the interesting thing. Northern Gal says, let's see, Pierre Poilievre can do an order in council to drop carbon tax to 0%, then proceed with legislation. Okay. All right. That's true. That is true. We'll have to see if that's the route he takes, but I like it. I think that's a good idea. All right. All sorts says, hopefully it will be an omnibus bill reversing all of Trudeau's, well, we know what that word is. Maybe. We'll have to sort of see. All right, guys. We are slowly getting there. You know what? Give me a second here. I'm going to drop another membership here. All right, here we go. Bang, boom. Let's see who wins. Well, as soon as it processes. Good old YouTube. It takes its time. All right, let's take a gander here. And Ian, congratulations, Ian. You have won a Mountain Finance membership. Very cool. All right. Now, I got another story for you guys here. Let's pull this on up. All right. So, with 2025, we got tax changes. Good old tax changes. So there's actually quite a few tax changes coming into effect as early as, of course, January 1st. So one of them is, of course, capital gains tax. That is now in effect. So the inclusion rate is now up at 67% from 50. Now, that's only if you are making realized gains above $250,000 a year. That's if you're an individual, though. Now, if you are a corporation or a trust, it doesn't matter how much you're making, that will be at 67%. Now, one of the good things is that they are not counting any kind of capital gains or any kind of money that you make on your, if you're selling your primary residence. So that is exempt from this, which is really, really good. We'll have to see if this capital gains thing will survive the next government. It'll be interesting. For something makes me think that might be one that they might look to repeal as well. The GST holiday, guys, that is still going on. That will be in effect until February 15th. So that's GST free on certain groceries and toys and things like that. Or if you want to buy a Christmas tree right now, apparently it's GST free. Oh boy. Now, a lot of benefits. So depending on inflation, you can expect an increase in government benefits. So Canada Child Benefit, Old Age Security, those will be going up as they're indexed to inflation. Now, actually, let me actually step back. Unfortunately, OAS payments are going to remain unchanged, at least for the first quarter of 2025, because the CPI did not change. So if the CPI had gone up, then we would have gotten some changes there, but no changes yet on the OAS. But, there's still, the OAS is reevaluated every quarter, so maybe a little bit later. But one other thing that's really interesting is tax brackets, of course, are going up as well. So this year, we're getting a 2.7% increase to our tax brackets. Then now, the year before, we got a 4.7% increase. And the reason they do this is when the cost of living goes up and wages go up, you're making more money, but you're not getting more stuff. So they don't want you to be paying more taxes because then you're getting even less stuff than the less stuff you already have. So, yeah, it's a fun thing, definitely. What can I say? All right, guys. You guys are just slamming in the comments while I was doing this all. All right, Cowboy is in the house with a good afternoon all. Always good to see you, Cowboy. All right, a good old thanks. Michael is in the house. Hello, Candace. Roger Sugar has been for me a bond proxy, and I've held it for a 6% yield, not growth. Yeah. Well, hopefully we get some growth from it too in the coming, at least in the coming year. Benny says, hello, everybody. All sorts of saying, a good afternoon, Benny. Ian says, do I have to report my free membership on my taxes? No. Because I'm not reporting your free membership, so don't worry about it. Northern Gal says, this capital gains rule change has never passed the House, was only introduced in a supply bill, never voted on. Interesting. I'll have to double check that because it came up on my tax changes page. So I'm like, oh, okay. Let's see. JJ says, howdy. Welcome, JJ. Welcome, JJ. There we go. All right. Let's see. I'm going to go back to the beginning of the live. See you all on the other side. All right. Let's see. Happy New Year to 2025. Thanks for all those live streams of 2024. Oh, boy. Yeah, we did a lot. I don't even know what the total number of live streams is for 2024. I can just tell you this. December alone, we did... I think it was almost 40 live streams in December. So that's absolutely crazy. Friggin says late, but made it. And Vic says, you have made a difficult time bearable. I try to bring a little bit of humor along. Just to get us back up to date, guys, a couple of things. Today, the subscriber sponsored video opened up. So if you're looking to get a deep dive, this is the time to do it. So basically, to get the subscriber sponsored video, it requires a super of $25. Doesn't matter what type of super it is. And then you can tell me what you want me to make a video on, whether it be a deep dive or anything like that. The other thing that we now have, I'm trying this out, something new in the new year. If you'll notice, we got the counter up top, the bomb counter. Right now, it's at 1 out of 25. So as we go through this month, every time we get a super in, I'm going to increase that number. If we get to 25 by the end of the month, then yeah, I will be having some bomb. And we're going to go with a full teaspoon. I'm not talking about just a little dab. We're going to go with a full teaspoon. I will suffer in front of your eyes. It will be hilarious for you guys. Maybe not so much for me. I'm not entirely sure if I want you guys to even get to that one, but it's kind of fun to have the counter there. I like the counter. We'll leave it at that. Vic says the live hit from Parliament was awesome. Oh yeah, absolutely. The only issue I had with that one live stream is the Rogers signal. It just wasn't that great. And you'd think in downtown Ottawa, you would have no problem. But yeah, it was definitely fun. All right, Northern Gal says CRA is still implementing the capital gains because it was introed, but even the accountants from June to December year ends have not been able to report it. CRA is presumably using the motion. Oh my gosh. You see, here's the thing. If you're going to make tax changes, you want to actually get things all ironed out. A lot of times, and this is, I don't know if it's just the Liberal government per se, but a lot of times, they would bring out rule changes and things and leave everybody sort of figuring out what the hell are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to get this all set up? Yeah, hopefully they get that all sorted out one way or the other. Tom says, TSX looked all right this year. I mean, compared to the S&P, it looked like crap, but the whole world, other than the States, is sinking, it seems. Interesting. The S&P, the S&P had a great year. The TSX had a fantastic year as well. And we actually do have a TSX story a little bit later. So we're going to get to that. Jordan says, speaking on the CP strike, it seems the backlog is pretty much gone. I dropped a big load. Oh, sorry, Canada Post. See, because CP did have a strike this year, by the way. So that's why I was going there. But okay, yeah, seems the backlog is pretty much gone. I dropped a big lot of shipments on Friday. They asked me where I was for so long. Okay, yeah. No, I mean, I had heard initially they said that, it was probably they'd have a backlog into the new year, but that was not the case. I did hear something around just before Christmas. I heard them saying that they're mostly through the backlog. So yeah, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. And especially someone like Jordan who uses Canada Post for, he's got a side hustle where he is, I don't know. I don't even think you'd call it a side hustle, Jordan. Isn't it kind of your main hustle? Where you make all of your glass equipment and stuff and paraphernalia. And there's a demand for that. So, he's got to use Canada Post to ship. Prairie says, heard the same thing. CRA and media are going on like it has passed as law. Yeah, that's interesting. And yep. Now I'm like, come on, stop giving me bad information, press. Let's see here. Tom says maybe it's all a downhill from here. Some people believe that. Some people actually fear that we're on the brink of a recession. That it's going to get bad. I do think a recession's coming, but I'm leaning towards 2026, or or maybe even at the very end of this year as we start to slide in. But it's going to be interesting. There's so many different things right now. Like right now, there's so many, I guess if you're a juggler, you've got a lot of balls in the air, and there's a lot of balls that it just takes one of them to drop. So it'll be interesting. Now, I always say this. If you're optimistic and you're in a situation like we're in right now, where you're thinking, okay, yeah, this year will be good, then we'll have a recession. Still be prepared for a recession, right? Because nobody knows the future. We could already be on our way in right now without even knowing it. So you have to always be prepared. And that's just smart investing. Have a backup plan. Always have a plan B, for sure. Northern Gal says, investor exactly. This happens, but usually when it is expected to pass, has happened with other things, but this one is a mess. Yes. Bismarcky says, backlog at Canada Post just shows how overstaffed they are. And let's see here. Justin Trudeau, if Justin Trudeau prorogues or we get a non-confidence, all of these bills will get dropped. Oh, that could be interesting. That could be very interesting. And as far as I understand, I don't know how far along the pharmacare thing is, but I'm pretty sure that a prorogement would kill it. I'm pretty sure that one would get killed as well. Jordan says, yes, it's a side hustle. My glass is considered premium as it's handmade, which translates to fewer sales compared to the Chinese-made glass people normally buy for $5 to $15. So your line starts at $40. Okay. Let's see, with exception to private members' bills. All right. Ian says, are you holding a cash position? I've been building it. And I'm even doing it as well in the 0 to 100K challenge. So there is a cash position that is coming along there as well. So that's always interesting. All right. Let's see. Earliest vote would be March. Yes, that's a thing. If we were to get, so let's say, for example, Trudeau does not prorogue and we get a non-confidence vote on the 7th, because as we all know, the Conservatives are going to, at the next committee meeting on the 7th, they're going to try to push a vote into that, which will then get pushed back to Parliament. So the 27th could be the earliest vote. If that happens, you're probably looking at a March election. So, or yeah, they probably would give you February to, to poll and everything. But yeah, I would, that would be interesting. Northern Gal, Pharmacare received royal assent. They pushed that one through the Senate. Oh, it has gone through. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Thank you, Northern Gal. All right. Tom says, obviously you wouldn't offer financial advice, but are any Canadian markets giving you optimism? I've heard the liquid natural gas story looks promising. Well, there is. I mean, there's a couple of different things. If you looked in, so I did that my 2025 video, and I looked at the sectors I'm happy about. Like, so for Canada, I think utilities are going to be fine. I think they're going to do well. I'm still very bullish on REITs. Now, we had like REITs started to explode initially with the initial rate cuts, and then we had a little bit of a correction. A lot of that correction really can be tied down to some of the negative stimulus for immigration, which are good. They were good stimulus, but negative in that if you start pulling back on immigration, that puts less pressure on housing. If you have less pressure on housing, that does affect the whole REIT market. And we think that's one of the reasons. There was obviously more, but that was one of the reasons that we saw a little bit of a retracement. So right now, I think REITs are still coiled. I think they're ready to explode again. So I'm pretty bullish on REITs. I think utilities will do fine. I also, from everything, I watch a lot of videos on tech, on AI. I think tech is going to have a second wind coming into this year, and I think tech is going to be strong as well. So those would be the three right now that if I'm putting extra money anywhere, it's going to be in those three sectors. Ones I'm going to be a little leery about are, of course, telecommunications. I think they're going to be sluggish. Oil could be interesting depending on which way you're looking at. So if you're looking at a company like Enbridge, for example, Pembina Pipelines, for example, I think they're going to do well, especially if we start getting some of these deals happening to send more oil to the U.S. Pipelines, I think, will be big in this year. And companies within the oil industry that they're not so much that they're relying on oil, but they're more or less the infrastructure of drilling and things like that. I think they will do well as well, especially if they have a U.S. If they have a lot of U.S. exposure, and there's going to be a lot more drilling. So if Donald Trump comes through and the drill baby drill, if that goes ahead, that will certainly help a lot of these companies. So I'm gonna be kind of optimistic. So even though I put oil overall as being down, I'm thinking more about WTI per se. So I do think some companies in the oil sector will definitely do well. All right. Let's see. How would you recommend to prepare for a recession as per portfolio? So kind of this is the way I handle things. I don't even worry about recessions, to be honest. I always worry about bull markets because even in a recession, like you take the second half of a recession, a lot of times in the second half of a recession, you've got a bear market, that then turned into a bull market. And that can sometimes guide us out of a recession. So what I like to do is in a bull market, I will usually start creating a cash position, even if we're early in a bear market, a bull market, I will still be adding a little bit of cash, and I'll sort of almost like a dollar. It's almost like dollar cost averaging, but into a cash position. So as I get further and further into a bull market, I will start increasing the amount. So one of the things that you guys will see is in the 0 to 100K challenge. So I started to do this in there so I could sort of demonstrate it. I was adding 1 extra share of cash each cycle. Well, now that we've gotten a little bit deeper, I'm moving that up to 2 shares each cycle. And that just sort of shows as we get deeper in, because then when we do go into a bear market, and it doesn't matter, like if we don't have a recession, but we go into a bear market, this still applies. When we go into a bear market, I will then do the opposite. I will start pulling out of that cash position to start buying deals in a sort of a dollar cost averaging method. So it's almost like an opposite dollar cost cashing type thing. So I will do that as I go in. And then once we've changed again, maybe let's say we're in a bear market for a year. After that year, we start heading back into a bull market. I'll reverse my direction again and slowly start building a cash position. I'm still dollar cost averaging, with stocks as we're in a bull market. But I am, the longer that bull market goes, the bigger percentage each time is going to go to cash. Now, for me, that works. I think that works really, really well. All right. Frickin says, won't get the vote till Singh gets his pension. Well, at this point, we're getting really close. I think he gets his pension in February. So I think we're at a point now that even if they did the vote of non-confidence on the 27th, I think by the time there's a government change, I think he would still be covered at that stage. So I think Singh is good. I think I don't think that's going to be a factor. Ian says I should have held my cash, but I put it in the TFSA January 2nd. Uh-oh. Let's see. Freakin says natural gas will boom when Pierre gets in. Now, one of the things I love is Pierre said a couple of things that I loved. One of the things that he did say is that, let's build some refineries in Canada. Let's be able to, process our own oil. I love it. I love it. That's great. He also mentioned to Donald Trump that, because we don't have a lot of these refineries, they're getting Canadian oil at a discount. So you don't want to be throwing, a tariff on something you're getting at a discount. And he said that as we build our own refineries, that discount will be even more significant if you think about it that way. Not that it will be bigger, but it will be more significant because we're not in a situation where we have to give a discount. Right now, we kind of have to do something with our oil. Somebody has to take it to do, to refine it. And a lot of our heavy crude, which is the really, the heavy crude is big. A lot of that goes to the US because they don't have, a lot of their crude is not heavy. It's a lot of it's light because of fracking. Because when you're fracking and you're pumping the water in to loosen up the oil, you end up with a much lighter crude as a result. And the interesting thing is, the US, their refineries are set up mostly to handle heavy crude. So their refineries are set up to handle our stuff. And the US, all of the oil that they pump, they mostly sell it. They do have some refineries for light crude, but most of it is sold off into the market. So that's kind of that thing. Even if you go Trump, even if Trump comes in and goes drill, baby, drill, and they get a whole bunch of more light crude, they still need that the Canadian heavy crude. They need it. There's no way around it. So it's not like a situation where there's a less need for the Canadian oil. There's not. There's just as much need, if not more in some cases. Tom says, I've seen some interesting things with the creation of data centers using liquid natural gas for power and using the Canadian climate for cooling. Yes. So that's you're 100% there. Like Kevin O'Leary is looking to set up basically what are we going to call it? An AI city or something like that, or not really that. It's more of a plant. It's more of an industrial AI industrial park. So he's looking to set one of these up in Alberta, and they're going to use like liquid natural gas. They're going to use the cold that's already up there. I mean, yeah, it absolutely makes sense, and you're going to see a lot more AI investment in Canada just for that reason. I also imagine I imagine Quebec would be another area that you would want to look at with the cheap hydroelectric there. So there are a lot of different things. And keep in mind, too, don't forget about nuclear. Nuclear is going to be huge as well. And that's one of the reasons that companies like Cameco, they're a uranium company, they're doing really, really well. And that's going to stay that way. Freakin says, when the energy cap gets removed, boom. Ryan says, super late, but I wish everyone a happy new year. Happy New Year, Ryan. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Ian says, I don't really add money to my portfolio anymore. Now I just reinvest dividends. Makes my strategy less complicated. A dollar cost average. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. And that's a great place to be, a point where you don't have to add money to your dividend. You got more than to your portfolio. You got more than you need, and you got all of your dividends. So that's not a bad place to be. All right. Let's see. Vic says energy ought to have a great year. I'm hoping. Let's see. I miss Incada, aka Ovidiv. All sorts. The timing of the Peterson Polyev interview is completely by design. Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, there's two things here. You also have to look at it this way. In a sense, part of that interview is Polyev sending a message to Trump so that Trump sort of knows what he's getting with Polyev, because I know that Trump is he is definitely a fan of Peterson. So there's no doubt Trump is watching that, and he's getting a clear message as well. So that timing might also be, not. And don't think about the whole Trudeau side. Trudeau, you don't have to do anything. Trudeau has already cooked himself, but this could be a message to sort of have Donald say, okay, well, maybe I'll hold back on this 25 because it looks like I've got somebody coming who I can work with. So that might see. Yeah, exactly. AI data center. I called it an industrial park, but it's kind of like it's a very high tech industrial park. So a data center for sure. Friggin says, fix the CO2 issue with selling our natural gas to countries to use it instead of coal to eliminate our carbon tax is brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of different things out there. Like, natural gas is a really good way to go at this point. Also, and I will keep on tooting it. Nuclear. There's just, it's just a great clean power source. So now that we've got modular reactors, that's very cool as well. All right. Ian says, if the conflict in Ukraine ended tomorrow, how long would it be before Europe went back to buying Russian energy? Some people think liquid natural gas will be done when the war ends. I don't think it'll be really fast. Like, I have a feeling that, Russia will be probably keen to open things up as soon as possible because Russia economically is hurting. They're really hurting, so they're going to want to open up those chains as quickly as possible. But I think at the same time, I think Europe has learned a little bit of a lesson too, that they don't want to be completely 100% reliant on Russia because they've seen what happens. So I think there'll still be a high demand. I think there will still be a high demand. And I know countries like Germany, for example, they're really, really sort of going down the hydrogen road. And they have deals in place with Canada, and Canada is looking to get some hydrogen going over there. It's going to be interesting. I think it will be interesting. I don't think it will go back as fast as you think, but yeah, some of it will for sure. Let's see. Prairie says, in my opinion, out of all the party leaders, Pierre Poilievre is the only one positioned to deal with Donald Trump. Yeah, I would agree. I have no. Yeah, 100%. Let's see. Alsor says agreed. Anchor says, does Canada have any crude oil processing capacity at this point in time? I don't. This is a good question. I don't know of any. I don't want to say that we don't have any. I'm just saying I don't know of any. But I do know that there are some plants, and I know there's at least one liquid natural gas processing plant. I think that's being developed in not Vancouver, but in British Columbia. So we do need more. We do need more for sure. Friggin, there is talks around here about putting in a nuclear modular here. Yeah, there we go. And that's the thing. Nuclear power is not, it's not the boogeyman that that it's sort of been painted out to be. Obviously, don't build a reactor in a place that can get hit with a tsunami. Don't build a reactor on a fault line. Use common sense. There's lots of safe places to build reactors. And interestingly enough, I believe in China, they're working on a reactor that's cooled by, it's not cooled by water. It's cooled by, I don't know for some reason, copper is popping into my head. I have to double check on that one. But there are some really, really interesting technologies out there that are absolutely going to change things and make it to the point where you don't have to worry about radioactive runoff. You don't have to worry about as much disposal. And there are other designs as well to nuclear reactors where you can take the used rods and recycle them and use them again. So there's a lot. I think nuclear over the next probably 20 years is going to really, really change. And I think it's going to be a good thing. I think it'll be a really good thing because here's the thing. A lot of countries sort of look at power and they're sort of say, oh, well, let's just use less power. Who cares? We don't need to use less power. We just need to use good power. Let's use power that doesn't wreck the environment. There's so much power coming from like the sun, for example. There's nothing stopping us from putting up solar farms in deserts. There's nothing stopping us from utilizing the planet's energy. There's so much that we can do with that. And there's just, as far as I'm concerned, you know, who cares if AI uses a lot of power? We've got more than enough power to supply it. We just have to build, the right machines. We just have to build the right plants. Obviously, we don't want to be burning coal. And eventually, it'd be nice to phase out oil. Eventually, not, right now, we don't have the capacity really to do that. But with liquid natural gas, that's a really good step in the right direction. And eventually, we can have a planet with a lot of nuclear power, a lot of renewables. We'll get there. We'll get there. We don't want to push the planet. You don't want to get to a point where you sort of say, well, we have to go there right now. So let's all sacrifice all of our power. That's never going to happen. So let's just make the right choices. Northern Gas is crude oil processing. There is a big one in Edmonton, Alberta. There we go. Awesome. So I kind of figured there had to be one. I just didn't know. I just wasn't aware of where one would be. So that makes sense. Gary says, what kind of REITs are you thinking of? So just to me, I'm looking at ones that have a good diversity into, for one, residential. I think residential is strong. I also think industrial is strong. One of my favorites has been actually I've been investing heavily into RMAX. They have been down, but I know they're going to turn around. Now they use covered calls though, so they do end up giving you a nice income. But if I could find an ETF like RMAX that didn't do covered calls, I would love it. And keep in mind, with RMAX, 50% of their REITs are Canadian, the other 50% are American. So that one's giving me exposure to both markets. That's kind of one of those things, because there are REIT ETFs out there without covered calls, but I haven't found one that's giving me the split that RMAX is giving me, at least not yet. Not yet. I always keep thing. Jordan. Sorry, Jordan came in with the molten salt. That's it. Molten salt. Yes, I think that's the one. I think that's it. Woohoo! I don't know why I was thinking copper then. Molten salt cooled, I believe, or something like that. No, that's absolutely what I was thinking of. Thank you, Jordan. All right. Meowie says, the Jagmeet pension is a con talking point. Even if the election was held today or next month or a few months ago, he would still get elected, and his pension as party leaders have a huge amount of power. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's I don't think it's as big of a thing as a lot of people think. But like I said, at this point now, whether or not the pension thing was an actual motivation, it doesn't matter. We're past the point where it really matters. Tom says, I agree with the nuclear philosophy. Recently, bacteria has been discovered in Chernobyl that has been feeding on nuclear waste. It could be a gene experiment we could do to expose. I did see an article on that. So that to me is really interesting. Imagine if we can just feed all of our nuclear our nuclear waste to a bacterium. That's kind of cool. Now, what I would want to do, of course, you need more study. Like, is that bacterium then radioactive, or is it actually neutralizing? And what mechanism is it using to neutral? Because if we can figure out the mechanism to use to sort of neutralize half-lives, that would be very cool. That would be a game changer. All right. Anyone in the group have any interest in silver? I'll tell you right now, Jordan has a good amount of physical silver. So there are definitely some silver fans in here. Mario says, MREL is a REIT ETF by Middlefield. Yeah, exactly. So like I said, there are different REITs out there. And I can't help but think you'll get some REIT will come along and sort of say, ooh, I like that idea of 50% US, 50% American. Northern Gal says, how are REITs not affected by interest rates? Is it something that could be affected by mortgage defaults? Well, the big thing with the interest rates, when you're looking at REITs, right, they're buying property. So one, when the rates are coming down, it makes it easier for them to buy more property. So it helps them expand. And it also helps just pull down the overall costs. In addition to that, as rates come down as well, yeah, they have less people who are in a situation where, where you get defaults, or you get people not able to, pay rents and things like that. But traditionally, REITs and utilities are both in the same boat. Like, they both hold a lot of debt. Like with utility companies, they're buying, they're expanding, and especially now, right now, a lot of them are moving into renewables. So they spend a lot of investment money, and as a result, they carry higher debts. That's the whole thing. Because they carry higher debts, both of them, their servicing on those debts as well comes down, and that really helps as well. Jersky says, would you put RMAX in your non-registered account? No, I probably wouldn't. I'll tell you why. You're dealing with a whole bunch. Like, if you look at the tax profile of the dividends, for one, right off the bat, because 50% is American, 50%, pretty much 50% of that is going to be foreign income immediately. So that's 100% taxable. Then you're also going to have in there, you're going to have some return of capital. You're probably going to have as well some capital gains and a few other things like that. So I would say with a complex tax profile that you would get from RMAX, I would put it in a registered account. I would not stack it. I think, if you got no choice, but I wouldn't. I would put it in like your TFSA or your RRSP if you really wanted to. Tom is a silver stacker. I need a sip of coffee, guys. I just remembered I had coffee here. I'm like, oh, all right. Jordan says, I stack silver and gold as well as stock moissanite rocks. Let's see, the new better than CZ alternative to diamonds. Wayne says, Anchor Tours, yes, I have been trading silver for years. My tag has been silver beer on a commodity site since 1998. Oh, that's cool. I like that. All right. We're just going to jump ahead here. There's a crude oil processing in Montreal, Quebec also. Okay. There's a pipeline right from Fort Mac, Alberta to Montreal. It takes 21 days to get there through the pipeline. Okay. There we go. So we do have some. We just need to get up to capacity. That's what it's looking like. Like, we need to get up to capacity. All right. Guys, I should drop another membership here. Give me a moment. Here we go. Then we'll, of course, get to our next news story. So, all right. Bang, boom. Here we go. And we'll take a look here. Mario, congratulations. Always love it. Always love it. All right. So Mario has won a membership. And let's get to our next story. Oh, wow. We're at 1 hour and 13 minutes, and we still got a bunch of stories to go. That's cool. All right. Here we go. I love it. So this here is more of a regional story, but do we have a provincial election brewing in Ontario? And I will tell you guys, I spent an hour the other day trying to make a Doug Ford beaver. It just did not work. I could not get it right. So I did try. All right. So good old Doug Ford. He's given Ontarians a $200 rebate check to help with the cost of living and carbon taxes. So the rebate is coming out either late January or early February, and it is expected to cost the province $3 billion. So as long as you did your income tax for 2023, and of course live in Ontario, and you're over 18, and you have not declared bankruptcy or been in jail in 2024, you will automatically get the benefit. If you have children under 18, you will get an additional $200 for each of them. Of course, when I read that, I was thinking of, I don't know how many of you guys know Nate Palmatier. He's got 10 kids and he lives in Ontario, so it could be a nice big check for him. Now, many are suspecting, many are thinking that, why is Doug giving out this money? And they're thinking there might be an early election on the horizon and that he's in the process of buttering up the voters. So now we're not scheduled in Ontario, we're not scheduled to head to the polls until June of 2026. But Ford has even said he's not ruled out an election for this year. And currently, with the strength, with the overall strength and the positivity towards conservatives, it may not be a bad move for him to pull off an Ontario election. I know the people in Ontario will be happy to get their $200. But yeah, what do you guys think? I know that I don't know how many of you guys are in Ontario. I know a few of you are. But do you think? Do you think he's pulling off? Do you think he's trying to butter us up for an election? That's my question to you guys. Mario says, let's see, love it. Nice Yeti cup. I have the same one. Yeah, it is. I mean, that's a great cup. I mean, it keeps things really warm. Now that I have it, I have to drink, right? Oh, so good. Mario says $200 for beer and popcorn. Ah, it's an interesting combination. I mean, do you have to smuggle your beer into the movie theaters? I probably shouldn't have asked that, but I had to. It was in my head and it was funny in my head, so I went ahead with it. Anchor says, couldn't make a Doug Ford beaver? Why not? Could AI only create him as a rat? um, Quite literally, I got a couple of beavers that looked a little bit like him, but it was just I couldn't get it to the point. I have a high level. Like I want if you look at him and you can't tell within a couple of within 10 seconds that that it's a Doug Ford beaver, then it's not good enough. And I couldn't get it to that 10-second line. Tom says, I know it's not the same jurisdiction, but I do believe the NDP Liberals have arguably ruined the brands in all sectors of governments. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Let's see. Northern Gal says, Doug Ford, I'm surprised he hasn't dropped the writ yet. He is looking to get ahead of national election. Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Ride that momentum. I definitely think we'll see an election sooner than later, because it almost seems this $200 is almost rushed. Like, let's get it out quickly so I can, I can call that election. So yeah, I would say, excuse me, provided provided we don't have a really fast federal election, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him early spring. And he's hoping he might be thinking, let's see if we can get in early spring. Maybe they'll get in late spring. I don't know where his mindset is on this, but you don't want too much overlap for sure, because that would be confusing. It's kind of interesting. I would be curious to know, and I don't know the answer to this, but what have we ever had any overlap between a federal and a provincial election? And if we haven't, how close have they actually been? I wonder what the closest one is. So that's kind of interesting. JJ says, I'm back in real time. 30 minutes later, was listening at 3x speed. Holy banana bread. That's pretty fast. That's almost Candace is a chipmunk speed. I love it. I love it. All right. All right. We still got a few more stories left. So how I got a story on housing, and this kind of ties into that REIT question a little bit. So heading into 2025, economists as well as real estate agents are believing that activity is poised to remain strong. A lot of it because of, well, much lower borrowing thanks to all of those rate cuts. And they feel that this is setting up an environment that is more favorable for buyers, despite the overall challenging affordability picture. So interesting thing here is in November, home sales jumped by 26%. Overall in 2023, the first 11 months, the sales totals were up by 6.9% compared to 2024 compared to 2023. Now, Remax's 2025 Housing Market Outlook report says that they're expecting home sales to rise in 33 of 37 Canadian regions including increases of up to 25%, along with the national average residential price rising by about 5%. The initial boom is expected in the housing market, and it's more than likely is going to start pushing prices back up a bit. So that kind of sucks if you're looking to buy a house. Now, along with falling interest rates, the federal government's recent mortgage rule changes, so basically allowing you to have amortization out to 30 years, things like this have also really helped put people in that buying mood, because it's like, okay, maybe we can afford it if we can push this out to 30 years instead of 25. Now, those measures included, of course, extending that mortgage amortization, as I just mentioned. Um, and one of the interesting thing too is also the cap. So when you're looking at insurable mortgages, before it used to be $1 million, now they put that up to 1.5 million. And because houses are, of course, a lot more expensive, people are, this will actually come into play more often than we probably want it to come, especially in the bigger cities. I don't know how much rents mortgages are in some of the rural places. I know my mom recently sold her house. I think she got about 500,000 for it, or just under 500,000. So that's not too shabby. Now, TD is forecasting home sales will rise by 16% across Canada in 2025. And this is the interesting thing. So they're thinking sales are going to go up by 25%, but the actual average home price is only going to be going up about 8%. So that's going to be interesting. All right. JJ says, I'm back in real time. 30 minutes later, was listening at 3. Oh, I already read that. All right. Let them burn likes cows. Yep. A lot of cows. Definitely. All right. All right, guys. That means that we can head over to our next story if we don't got too many comments. All right. So this is another thing we were talking about earlier. Is the bottom in for telecommunications? So according to a TD analyst, they're suggesting that the Canadian telecom valuations may have actually bottomed. So, of course, they are recognizing that 2024 was a challenging year for the telco cable stocks, but 2025 estimates are unlikely to drop any further. So that's good news. That's good news. That could very well be a bottom. And I'll tell you, it's funny. Every time I think they've hit the bottom, they go out and buy a new shovel. And I've mentioned that before, but it's kind of true. Now, one of the interesting things is that even if they have hit the bottom, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to head back up. So it is more within the realm of possibility that we could get a very flat year, but it's going to be some interesting things. So some of the hurdles that they're looking at are, of course, the CRTC and the federal government, though that might change a little bit with the change in government, because both right now, the current government and the CRTC have been really pushing for lower prices. Now, as a consumer, I love that idea of some lower prices, because in Canada, we're paying more than pretty much any of the big countries in the world are paying for cell services, internet, all of that. We're paying way too much. But of course, the CRTC and the government are also pushing for more competition. So we could see some interesting things. Now, I did mention as well about the 5G networks. That, of course, is eating up a lot of money, and that's going to continue to eat up money on the rural side because they've got the urban stuff mostly done. So that's going to be fun. Now, giving the sector's mature growth, we're not really expecting any kind of explosive growth. So any kind of growth in that sector, it's going to be slow. It's not going to go fast, unfortunately. What can we do? JJ says, now that you're at 1x speed, I have to do a double take. Sounds like you're sounds like you're talking to molasses. Oh yeah, that's funny. I could try to talk faster for you if that helps. All right, let's get our last story out of the way, because then I got access, guys, to the other screen. I promise this is not really a Christmas story, but it kind of is. But let's take a look back and see if we got ourselves a Santa Claus rally. All right. Interestingly enough, if we look at the S&P 500, It closed on December 23rd at 5,974. January 3rd closed 5,942. So no Santa Claus rally. NASDAQ, they started at 21,503. They closed at 21,326. No Santa Claus rally on the NASDAQ. The Dow Jones, maybe the Dow Jones could do it. They started at 42,906. And they finished at 42,732. So the United States fell completely flat. No Santa Claus rally in the States, but Santa's a Canadian, right? At least Canadians think he is. So I'm going to say, yeah. So the TSX, the Toronto Stock Exchange, they opened the rally at 24,748. They closed at 25,073. So guys, we had it wasn't a big Santa rally, but we actually did have a Santa Claus rally on the TSX, but all of the US markets fell absolutely short. Oh boy. What can I say? Before I can pull away the news, just one quick little thing. On the calendar for next week, we have basically Canada and the US, both on the 10th, on Friday of next week. We're going to have job data. So job data is going to fall. I'm really going to watch this very carefully because I don't want to see that unemployment number tick up anymore. That would not be a good thing. And keep in mind, we do have another rate decision coming up here on the end of January 29th. So we'll have to see. Right now, I'm thinking it's a 25 basis point cut. But if we actually started getting some data pointing upward again for unemployment and for the economy falling, I still think it'll be 25, but it'll certainly cause pause. It'll certainly cause the Bank of Canada to have a little bit of pause there. Yeah, so that is the news. We're finally done the news. Woohoo! All right, let's see here. Larry says, I always think of the lead up to the rally as the rally. Yes. And it's funny, like I was thinking, it's funny because I was thinking that the Santa Claus rally ended after the first trading day in January. So when I went in to start pulling it up and I pulled up some data and it was like, oh, it's the second trading day in January. Okay. Well, the TSX was still, they still had a small Santa Claus rally if it was the first day, but it did work out. Let's see. Don't forget the U.S. market is closed on January 9th. Oh, I'm trying to think. Wait a minute. Is that the 13th holiday? I'm trying to think of what holiday that is, because I know that holiday is in there somewhere. And I can't remember the name of the holiday. It's like, because of Jimmy Carter. See, I had missed that. Okay. Interesting. Okay. You see, I did not know. Now, let me ask the American followers here. When there is a presidential funeral, does the market always close for that? That's interesting. I'm thinking maybe so. All right. Let's see. Michael says, if time permits, can you provide some brief analysis of Roger Sugar? I think it should be defensive during a recession. Yeah, we'll look at Roger Sugar here in a bit. JJ says, natural day of mourning, Martin Luther King date. That's what I was thinking. There was something in. Oh wait, no. The 10th one is in June, because now I remember Juneteenth. That must be, yeah, okay. I'm starting to put together some of the holidays. It's just like Canada. Like I never remember when Family Day is until we're almost there. And I know there's also what the heck do they call the one in August? Is that Family Day as well? I don't know. I think it actually changes depending on which province you're in, the one in August. So what can I say about that? All right. Well, let me All right, now that we are done the news, let's actually get rid of the news, and there we go. We'll come back over. Now we have access. We have access to the to our thing. Let's see. August is just a civil holiday. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I know in Nova Scotia, I think we called it Natal Day. I'm not sure what we call it in Ontario, unless it's just civil. Terry Crow, Santa Claus rally on the TSX due to the fact that Santa lives in Canada. Duh. There we go. Yeah, exactly. Roger Sugar. Let's pull up Roger's Sugar. Here we go. All right. So Roger Sugar. That's go away ads. Not a bad day. Not a bad day on the last trading day here. So yeah, taking a look at them. This is one of the things I like. They've got a half decent dividend for they're not that expensive. So 5.97%. Now, I'm going to go into a bit of their key data here. We'll look at what they've done in a bit. Debt to equity ratio. So they've got about a 90% debt to equity ratio. That's not too bad. Not too bad. Keep in mind, they just spent a lot of money on that Montreal plant, on the upgrades on that. So that has certainly helped with that a bit. Return on equity, 14.37%. Not too shabby. So things look pretty okay for this. Oh, guys, 1 second. Darn it. It's like I paused because I had to sneeze, and the second I paused, the sneeze went away. It's like, what? Seriously. All right. Oh, okay. January 20th is Martin Luther King. All right. So 9th must then be because of Jimmy Carter. All right. Got it. Let's see. Martin Luther King is not a national holiday. I used to work for an American company and get American holidays. MLK Day was not one of them. Okay, fair enough. But keep in mind, too, we do have holidays here, like Remembrance Day, for example. Most people don't get that off. Interestingly enough, when I was a teenager, I was in Sea Cadets. So because I was in Sea Cadets, at least at the time, because I was living in Ontario, in Kingston at that time, we were allowed to get the day off because we would be going to, a parade of some sort. I can't remember what it was. I know when I lived in Nova Scotia, we had like the Battle of the Atlantic. Was that on Remembrance Day? I think that was on Remembrance Day. But anyway, just a funny thing. Let's see. That is funny. All right. Oh, here we are. I'm gonna pull us back to Roger Sugar. Let's actually pull up some data here. So yeah, in the last year, they have been slowly, like they've moved sideways for a bit. They're moving up and probably going to move sideways a bit more. The way I look at it is this is a stock that does have a pretty good dividend on it. And if it's moving sideways and then making little jumps up, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'd be looking at this as kind of a little bit of a growth, but more I'd be looking at that dividend more than anything else on this one. But if the demand for sugar stays up, I can definitely see some moves over the next little while. I mean, if we go further back, yeah. I mean, at one point they were sitting up here around 6. They've finally gotten back to that level, but I want to go further back. Let's go really far back. Yeah, so they haven't done a lot. Now, keep in mind, if you have a smaller company and they do have a bigger dividend, it does really eat into that growth a little bit. But I still like this stock, I think, overall for mostly income. It's kind of like a REIT. I look at it this way. Like REITs, typically REITs, you're not buying them for growth. You're normally buying them for the income. But we're in this situation where REITs came down and they're going to be going back up probably a little bit higher. I have to look at it this way. You have to sort of factor in inflation. So if you look at the level that REITs have been at, they're probably going to be a little bit higher than that level when they finally do settle down. Like I'm going to ride REITs up when I see this, when I see what's going to happen in 2025, but I'm not riding them forever. Once I get up to where I think is a reasonable level for them, and I think they're going to be more of a flat stock, I'm probably going to get out of them and look at some more better total return stocks at that point. I think this time around, we're going to definitely have a I think we're going to have a pretty good growth. Uh, Pretty good growth. I don't want to call it like an explosion, but I'm going to just say a pretty good growth, a growing spurt. We'll call it that. We're going to have that, I think. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm ready. I'm ready for sure. And just to give you a perspective here, let's actually go over to RioCan. All right, RioCan. Here we go. All right. That's the 5-day. Let's go. I'm going to go all the way out to the 5-year. Or actually, let's even go to the 10-year. So you can sort of see like this is the level that they were at before the pandemic. This is the pandemic. You can tell, big cliff, big cliff. But $27, not a bad, even if you go to the low point of that, $23, it's reasonable for this stock to eventually get back there. It's absolutely reasonable. Now, right now, as you can see here, this is probably right down here. Like here's June. Here's the beginning of the rate cuts. So we did have an initial explosion from the initial rate cuts. Then we've come down a little bit, but now we're starting to bound a little bit. We're going to see this again. I see 2025 as a slow build. I think we will, where we get up to that 24, maybe not. But I'm looking once I hit 20, I'm going to reevaluate whether it's time to get out or not. But we're going to see. We're going to see for sure. But I'm looking forward to that. And I mentioned RMAX earlier. I haven't brought RMAX up in a while. Now, right now, I think they're at a really good entry point again, which I love. Now this one hasn't been around that long. Let's pull up the 1 year. So you can see from their inception, they had a very big explosion going up. This was the initial part of those rate hikes. And then they've had a good correction, but they're starting to turn it around. And I think that you're going to see some nice things on here. Like I talked before about $19 because I thought they were going to get to $19, but they didn't. But I do think they will get there in 2025 easily. So I'm looking forward to this. And this, once again, even though I love what they are doing REIT-wise, once I've ridden this out and we get to that point that I don't think they're going to go a lot higher and they're going to be more of a sideways income producer, I might step back at that point. Now, they do have a good income. Like if you look at it here, right now, their yield is at 9.64%. But I do realize if the explosion in REITs goes too strong here, we'll lose some of that upside potential with the covered calls. So I have that in my mind. I'm thinking about that too. So I sort of keep everything in there. Terry says August is a provincial holiday. Oh, guys. I keep forgetting something here. Give me a moment here. I'm going to drop another membership here. Here we go. Boom, bang. Let's see. All right, it's happening. It's happening. All right, Northern Gal says, interesting. Remembrance Day is a stat holiday. Is it different in Ontario? See, and this is I'm talking about from when I was a kid. When I was a kid, it really wasn't a stat, at least not in Ontario. But maybe it's different now. I don't know. I know, which was interesting. I know the government used to shut down because I know when I worked, I used to work for Alberta Innovits in Calgary, and that was an interesting day. Like because I was a contract worker, I was allowed to actually work on Remembrance Day, but the whole office was shut down. Like nobody was there when I was coming in and doing. I was doing a bunch of basically taking because what Alberta Innovates do is they basically have a lot of geologists. They have them doing carbon capture type experiments and things like that, writing up different reports. So I used to take the reports, categorize them, catalog them, and then bring them online. So that was the contract I was doing for them. It was, there's some really interesting stuff, but the reason for it is they had so many projects that they had done that were getting repeated because nobody had an easy way to find them. And that's kind of what I was trying to do, is try to give people, give geologists an easy way to find what had already been done so that they could build upon it, opposed to, doing the exact same experiment over again. Bismarcky says, when I was a kid 100 years ago, we used to get Remembrance Day off. Yeah, and I think it has to do with the province that you're in. But maybe it's now a stat holiday for everyone. I'm not sure. I honestly don't know. It's one of the problems, like, because I work for myself, right? I don't get any holidays off. Though I might take one holiday off this year, maybe. Michael says, "Thanks, Canada, for your thanks." Thanks, Candace. I was going to say Canada. Thanks, Candace, for your comments on Rogers. I love its sweet 6% dividend. Absolutely. Hello, number 50 like. Awesome. Oh yeah, I haven't said that all day. Guys, hit the like button. Hit the like button. I'll have some coffee while you guys are turning that thumb into a blue thumb. Oh, very, very good. Membership number 4 complete. Yeah, JJ's counting. 9 is praying. Let's see. Congrats, Bismarcky. Bismarcky says thank you. A Northern Gal. You can work any stat. They have to pay you accordingly. If you are contract, it doesn't apply unless negotiated. Yeah, exactly. That was the thing. So I basically was just like, I want to get paid. I don't want to sit at home for the day. So that's what I did. But yeah, no, and it was nice. It was really nice to have a nice, peaceful office. I got probably more work done that day than in a normal day. So just there is something about that for sure. All right. JJ's over there counting. He's counting. It's like, dear gosh, JJ. All right, let's go. We'll drop one more right now. Get the things rolling. All right. Boom, bang. Who is it? Tanya, 73. Congratulations. All right. And guys, keep in mind, starting next month in February, we're not going to do these all in a lump on the first Sunday. We're going to just sort of, we're going to spread them out. We're going to spread them out over the month. So, it's not all at once. Let's see, JJ, I'm on the bus. There's not much else to do. Another lurker. Tanya has actually, if I recall, I think she's asked maybe 1 or 2 questions. I have seen her pop up and ask a question from time to time, but yeah, absolutely. So not a full lurker. Like, there are people here that I have no idea who they are. Like, I know I have a good amount of lurkers. Every so often, I tease a lurker to come out and say hi. But there are people who are, that are here. And there's probably, I bet that I have at least 1 or 2 lurkers who have been here since day one and have never missed a stream, and I don't even know their names. That's probably true. But I do love it when a lurker comes up and says hi, because, hey guys, this is a very friendly environment. I will definitely say that you never have to, even if you've got like I always tell people, like, if you've got a dumb question, you can answer it, and you can ask it in my chat. Nobody will make fun of you, or otherwise they're going to get heck from me. They're going to get it totally. So yeah, it's definitely awesome. All right. Remembrance Day stat holiday in New Brunswick. Payroll depends, regular shift pay. Okay. Northern Gal says, thank you for talking about REITs. Looking at the possibility of an ETF or an EFT. Yeah, I think it's an ETF. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm liking REITs in 2025. And keep in mind, and this is what I will always say, because I'm bullish on, these on the sectors I've mentioned going into 2025. That could change if something happens, especially if we get some kind of a black swan event that comes in and completely messes up the entire environment. I'll change on the fly, because I'm one of these people that it's like, give me new information, I will change my opinion. I have no problem with that. I have days like that too. And sometimes it's just that. I don't know if this happens to you, Northern Gal, but sometimes I'm typing and you'll almost think I was dyslexic. But what it is one of my fingers, for some reason, it got a little speed boost and it hit one letter a little bit faster than the finger that should have hit it before it. And all of a sudden, 2 letters get reversed. It's not because of dyslexia. It's because one of my fingers just became a speed demon. Holy banana bread. It happens. It does. Let's see. Michael says, any comments on Northview REIT? I know it's especially active or owns residential real estate in provinces with no or little government rental regulations. Let's take a look at Northview. Let me pull us back. Whoops, there's the Discord. There we are. All right, let's head on over. Northview. Here we go. Northview Residential REIT, npr.un. All right. And guys, if you went to the when we did our 5,000 sub the contest, we all learned that UN stands for unit. Well, I knew that, but still. That's what it stands for. All right. Now, this is an interesting one. Like I went back to the 6 months. So if you look here, I guess it has I guess now I have to go to a year to see that full amount. You can see we did have, now we had a rise, but it was actually before the rate cuts came in. So that in itself is interesting. Rate cuts started right about here-ish. It maintained flat. We had a little bit of a leap up. So NRR is, they're not following exactly the way things are. Now they're still going to benefit. They will still benefit from the rate cuts, no doubt. Now look at it. This is a really big dividend for a REIT. 7.149%. So that's pretty big. It's not, not too shabby, but it's definitely still big. Kind of curious. Let's go in here for a second here and take a look here. All right. Yeah, their debt to equity is high, but that's normal in a REIT because once again, they're holding a lot of mortgages. So they're going to have a high amount of debt. That's one of the reasons that rate cuts tend to help them. I would say this one will be fine, but I wouldn't, with the higher dividend level, I wouldn't expect any big explosions because when you looked like, for example, when we were looking at, RioCam, once again, we'll go back there. You'll see that their dividend is much lower here. Where is it? So 5.9. So, about 2% lower. Keep in mind though, once it happens. No, once RioCan does get back up to where they normally are, that yield will be closer to like closer to a high 4 point something. And that's kind of a normal thing for REITs. All right. Oh, good old INO. Oh, I remember going into the bear market. I believe INO was one of the ones that was really, really suffering. Let's actually, I'm going to pull out the 3-year. Yeah. This looks like a practice range for Olympic skiing. I mean, it's not good. It's not good. I mean, here's their little bump from the rate cuts. Yeah, this is one that I started watching it because I did like this REIT initially. Back in the not the bear market, but back in the old bull market, I was okay with this. Like, let's go back 5 years. After the drop, the pandemic drop, they had a nice rebound. They were doing well. And keep in mind too, all right. Oh, they don't even have a dividend right now. Interesting. I think they had, let's find out. I thought they had a half decent dividend for some reason. They may have cut it though, maybe. Let's see here. Oh yeah, look at this. So they've had a pretty good dividend. I mean, 3.4 cents. I thought it was higher than that. Yeah, here we are. 6.9 cents. And I was looking at it back in here. Yeah, so back, they used to have a 6.9 cent dividend, and it was pretty good because they weren't super expensive. So that was actually a pretty good yield at the time. But, and I don't know what's going on. Like, I'm kind of curious now because they've been paying that half dividend up until December. Now up here, for whatever reason, I'm seeing nothing here. So I don't know if did they cut their dividend? Interesting. I'm not sure. It may be that they just didn't give the data. So hopefully something does happen. But let me see if they declared. Because a lot of times this on our front page here, you will often get a little bit of news stories down here. So let me just take a look and see if anything got declared. Let's see, announces special non-cash distribution. Okay, you got to love those. Announces the sale. Yeah, so I got nothing here for a declaration for that dividend. So interesting. I don't know what happened. Do not know what happened. Ian says, I start to type and I go to hit backspace, but I hit send instead. Oh, man. Yeah, that does sometimes happen. And it's usually in some place where I can't just go and edit it. It's like, oh, so then I have to put in like the second part afterwards. Never good, never good. All right, I'm going to drop one more of these membershipies here. Get ourselves caught up a little bit here. All right. There we go. All right. Let's see. Let's see. I know 9 has been hoping. Vineet. Vineet has won. It's actually funny. Vineet messaged me today and was like, oh, I'm glad to see you're taking a day off for yourself. I'm like, what are you talking about? There's a stream today. I think he was looking at an old message from me where I said I was taking, I had a day off because after the, I think the 26th, I finally had a day off because I did a stream every single day in December up until the 26th. So yeah, that was fun. That was fun for sure. All right. Yes, there we go. Congrats, Vineet, for sure. For those of you who joined late, just a couple little changes. So this here is the last month we're doing all of the gifted memberships up front. I'm going to just sort of speckle them out through the month starting in February. We do have a new little thing going on up here as well. If you notice up in the corner, we got a little Da Bomb. So Da Bomb is up there and it's 1 out of 25. So if in any month, we're gonna try it for this month and see how it goes. If in any month we get 25 like super thanks, super chats, or any of that stuff, we're going to just knock this number up. If it gets to 25 by the end of the month, I will be taking a teaspoon of Da Bomb here. A whole teaspoon. Oh, God. Now I'm hoping, I kind of hope you guys don't do it. I kind of hope you don't do it, but it'll be funny. It's always funny. It's always funny when I take hot sauce. Oh, boy, because I react. I'm a reactor when it comes to hot sauce. That's for sure. All right. Number 7. Oh, only a teaspoon's a lot. Trust me. Should be the whole. Yeah. Like, yeah, exactly. Then there would be no stream for the next month because I'd be in the hospital, like in a full, I'd be like in a full seizure for a month or something, or a full 5 meal course. Oh, here's the thing though. Keep in mind, taking a full teaspoon of the hot sauce, it's worse than if I just put some on some food because I've got no protection. The food's not offering me anything. It's just going to get around. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Oh, also, I keep always remembering, the subscriber sponsored video is still available. That runs from, well, the beginning of the stream until the end of the market close on Wednesday, because we got a market close on Wednesday. It's good to have the market closes back. It feels like we haven't done one in a while, but it's just because of the holidays. I think the last Wednesday market, it was closed because of New Year's. Yeah, so that is still available if anybody wants me to do a particular video. Can we sponsor day? No, no, no. There are rules. The one rule is not no penny stocks, and the stock has to have been around for at least a year. So I have data. I did one of this subscriber sponsored video. I got some of the penny stock that hadn't been around for. Like quite literally, I had no data, nothing. The stock was brand new. It was a penny stock. And I'm like, oh my God, I should have put some guardrails up for this thing. So yeah, anyway, that is also going on. So always fun to see. All right. All right, guys, I will just going to get one more here. So that way there, JJ can let me know that we're at number 8. All right. Oh, no, that didn't work. All right, let's try this again. Bang, boom. I still can't believe DJT. Oh, okay. I think it worked this time. All right, here we go. Anyone have HMAX? I bought some after hearing from it from one of the vids here. Good old HMAX. I don't think, well, I don't have any personally, but we can go over there and take a gander at it. All right, HMAX. Of course, it's one of these Hamilton ones. I do like Hamiltons. So this, of course, is your Canadian Financials Yield Maximizer. So definitely one way to get a little bit of extra juice there for you. All right, let's pull this up here. Now, of course, this is where they started up at 16. They've lost a little bit, but keep in mind this is going to be a similar fund to if you guys watched that recent video where I did bank stocks versus, of course, ETFs and covered call ETFs and leveraged ETFs. This is going to fall into that same kind of bucket. So now in this case here, they fell pretty hard going into some of the financial stuff, but in the bounce back, you probably lost some amount of upside potential. Well, I guarantee you lost some upside potential. It's kind of that funny thing. It's just the way that it works when you're dealing with covered calls. So covered calls, here's the thing. If you've got a strong bull market, you're never going to make as much money as holding the original stock with a covered call. You won't. You're just not going to. But when you have less than bullish markets, so a flat market or even a very small bullish market where it's moving up slightly or moving down slightly, those are great. Those are great for covered calls. You're going to, you will beat things with that, especially if you're reinvesting the dividends. Holy banana bread, you'll do well. But when you're in a bull market, covered calls are not going to do a lot for you. It's not that you're losing money, you're still making money. You're just not making as much as you could be making. However, with that being said, if you are using covered calls and as your income, like you're using it in an income, especially like a retirement income portfolio, well then, it's doing exactly what it's designed to. In that case, it's giving you that income. You're pulling it out of your TFSA tax free. It's not hurting any of your supports. It's not it's not pushing you into any kind of a tax scenario because it's tax free. That's to me, that's the most useful thing that you can use covered calls for. Or, if, like I said, if you're being strategic, like I do not mind in a flat market, I'll use covered calls. And I do have some covered calls right now. Like, for example, I'm doing not an experiment, but in the 0 to 100K, I added Misty. It's a US one. Keep in mind too, and this is the funny thing, because that's my TFSA, I'm bringing Misty in just because it has an insane yield at this point. So while Bitcoin is doing well, and MicroStrategy is doing well, Misty is going to make a lot of money. But I am losing 15% of that dividend to the IRS because it's in my TFSA. It's just gone. But it's such a crazy amount that I'm like, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'm just using it right now to sort of create a bit more revenue in there so that I can, it's a strategy. Look at it that way. It's a strategy. Normally, something like Misty, and let me show you guys Misty instead of just talking about it. So something like this dividend, your best place to hold it, honestly, is your RRSP, because then you're not losing that 15%. But I'll pull up the 1 year and you can sort of see, it's had its high points. It's been doing okay lately. This here was the peak of Bitcoin, and it'll get back up here as Bitcoin explodes again. But you're getting crazy yield, 124%. So when I'm losing, like if I'm losing 15% of that, I'm still making a crazy amount each month. So I'm okay with that in this situation. But I just kind of wanted to expose you guys to what it was kind of doing in the challenge. So, I've also had a few people going, why don't you have Misty? Why don't you have Misty? So to me, it's a situational purchase. So I will stay in this while Bitcoin is doing well. But once we start to move into a crypto winter, I will be selling out of this very fast, very, very fast. So it'll be interesting. All right. Let's see here. Oh, we already got this one from Anchor. All right. Let's see. JJ says, nah, HMAC sucks for total returns. Don't buy it. And that's kind of what I'm saying. For total returns, yeah. I mean, it has some half decent income, and it'll be fine when the market's moving sideways market. Tim says, regarding covered call total returns with distributions reinvested are now beating the total returns of non-covered call stocks like ETFs and index funds. If you look right now, if you look in the market, as the market's coming down, yeah, in that short time frame, for sure. But when you do have a big bull market, so when things are moving up strong, you're not going to beat them. And I've done this a couple of times. Like, we actually compared the different ETF versions to Tesla at one point. Tesla won, beat all of them. We also just did it in the recent video with banks versus some of the bank ETFs, and they won. Now, mind you, these have all been in bull markets. You know, if we had a flat market, the covered calls are going to win. If we have a flat market, covered calls are going to win. And this year, you know, depending on who's right. Now, there's a lot of people who think we're going to have a sluggish market through 2024. And if it is a sluggish market, covered calls might really shine. So there is that to keep in mind as well. All right. JJ says, I bought 2,000 shares of MSTY at $26.75 on Friday. Brought my DCA down by like $3. Okay. Very interesting. 2,000 shares. Oh boy. That's going to be quite the dividend. That's for sure. Now, are you holding it in your RRSP? Kind of curious to know, you know, or are you, I mean, if you held it, like, I guess the second best place is, if you're not holding it in your RRSP, would be to hold it in a non-registered account, because at least you might get a little bit of that back as a tax credit, because, you know, you could apply for a foreign tax credit on that. But yeah, still, like I said, I'm losing my 15%, but that's by choice. That's by choice. So I'll keep it that way. All right. Oh, you have no room in your RRSP. Okay. Okay. Fair enough. All right. All right, guys, I'm going to drop one more of these. We'll get us a little bit closer, All right. Let's see here. Bang, boom. All right. Let's see. Split. Whoops. Split half between the TFSA and non-registered. Okay. Okay. So, well, there you go. So at least the stuff in the non-registered, you can apply for a tax credit, and hopefully, is that number 9? Okay. Cyber Warrior. Congratulations. All right. And you know what? Let's just get that 10th one out of the way. Bang, boom. And then I don't have to think about it. And JJ can stop counting, which is always fun. Always fun. All right, here we go. Boom, bang, and Cena Sands. Cian Sands. We'll go with that. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I apologize, 9. I know 9 was saying, let me win. Let me win. Let's see. Tim says, Candace for finance minister, is the C for climate tax or tax cuts? Here's the thing. If I was running the country, I would very much look more towards the tax cuts, only because I really think that if you sort of took fine-tooth comb over everything government is spending money on, there's probably a lot of money you could save. Oh God, I'm starting to sound like Elon, but there's a lot of government waste, and most of it would be redundancies. I think there's a lot of redundancies in government, so I would be more inclined to see if we could find a way to reduce the redundancies. Let's work at home first. You know what? Clean up the money that's being spent in Ottawa, before I start asking for more money from people, from the Canadians. I would be like, no, let me clean up a house first, and then we'll see. And the thing is, I think if you actually cleaned up the spending and actually brought some sanity to the house, you might then have a point where it's like, yeah, I can cut taxes because I don't need that much. But you would also have to look at it this way. Because let's just say, let's say I was in charge and I got rid of a whole bunch of overspending and got the balanced budget, got the budget balanced. I would have to ask myself, well, with the surplus, I don't want to give it all back. I would want to take I would say, maybe half. Give half back in tax breaks. The other half, put it on the deficit. That way you're giving back, but you're also starting to clean up the mess. Because as you pay down that deficit, of course, you're going to have a great situation where, the servicing of that debt comes down as well. So I would kind of look at it that way, but that's kind of how I would run it. But honestly, I probably would have 0% chance of ever becoming, prime minister or finance minister. I think my mouth would get me in trouble. I'd be too honest, and honesty just doesn't get you elected in the world, unfortunately. Congrats to all new members. Tom says redundancy of paying contractors to do work we already pay the government to do. They also don't compete the contracts they are paid to do. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, there is, and also the whole idea like patronism. Nobody, there's no way I'm going to give jobs to my friends. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to just give a job to you because you're my friend. It's going to have to be fair, because I think fairness is really important. And I also feel a lot of times when you're giving money to your friends, you're also lowering the standards. You're lowering the standards completely. So if you hire your friends and they completely mess up the job and don't get it done, there's no ramifications to them more than likely. You'll just hire somebody else to do it right afterwards. And that means you've paid twice, or maybe 3 times if you've got a bunch of friends who are incompetent. Tim says, I'd use the surplus to give everyone a free puppy. Yeah, invest in puppy mills, folks. If Tim ever gets into office, invest in the puppy mills. You'll make a fortune. JJ says, let's see. If you were to give Pierre Poilievre a run for his money, be the new leader of the PPC, which policies would you address and tackle? Oh, boy. Oh, gosh. You're putting me on the spot here, JJ. What policies? Here's the thing. I think, like Pierre Poilievre, I very much believe in common sense government. So obviously, if I were taking over right now, the first thing I'm going to do is I want to fix the problem with the U.S. That's, there's not going to be tariffs. I'll find a way to, create a situation with Trump where, because here's the thing. I mean, and the funny thing is, I think Poilievre has said most of this anyway. Trump wants to be respected. He wants to win, but it's not that he wants to win at the cost of you losing. He just wants to win. So if you give him a situation where you're the win, where you both win, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I think there's so many things. Like, the problem is to tackle the government, you have to kind of start with the big things. So I see 9 saying remove tax on share buybacks. Sure. That's a good thing. Will that be a number 1 priority? Probably not. Like I said, number 1 is to make sure that we get the Canadian economy in shape. We start cutting back on some of the spending. Removing tax on share buybacks. Yeah, because why would I do that? Because that would encourage companies to invest in Canada. And that's a big driver of the GDP, right? So that all works into that. And that's, I look at that as being a really good thing. So I would definitely go that route for sure. But yeah, there's so many things I would do. And it's like, it's more or less trying to organize into the order in which they would come out. But anyway, guys, If you got, I'm going to give you the last your last minutes. If you got your last questions, not last, it's more not in the last minutes, but if you got your last, your last minute questions, get them in for sure. We'll address them. We'll address them while you're doing that, guys. Let me pull up the Discord. Anybody who doesn't not know, we do have a Discord. The Discord, by the way, let me grab you guys a link. I'll drop a link in here for you. All right, invite people. I'm going to edit that link because I do not want it to expire. Because if you watch this if you're watching this 8 days from now, I want to have a link that will work for you. All right, here we go. Let me grab this. I'm going to drop it into the chat. All right, so we do have a Discord. The Discord, it's pretty active. It's pretty active. We got a lot of different categories. If you want a new category and you're over there, let me know or let JJ know. I've got no problem with creating the categories that you want. But one of the beautiful things over here is that we have the schedule. So this way here, you know when things are coming out. So here is, this is what's great. Oh, guys, we've already done. See, I haven't removed this yet. That was the prediction video. That one has come out. And oh, there's the live stream. We were already finished the live stream. There we go. So here we go. So our next video coming out is on January 7th. So on January 7th, we're coming in. We got 5 total return stocks to watch in 2025. This is the one. This is the one that is awesome. This is the one that's really awesome because I like to pick these stocks. And then at the end of the year, we'll look at them and see how I did. Last year, I picked 5 stocks and four of them were beating the market big time. One of them fell a little short. It fell a little short. It only had a 5% return. But 4 of the 5 were absolute bangers. So we're trying to do it again this year. Now, we also have quantum investing coming up later in the week. Now, we do have the subscriber-sponsored video. That will or will not happen. So far, nobody has taken it, but that is definitely an option. Now, let me see here. What's the bomb thing? Something new we're trying. So I was talking to, who the heck was I talking to? Anyway, I was talking to somebody in the community, and they always keep coming up with, you should do more of the hot ones stuff. Do more of the hot ones. It's so funny. So I was trying to think of a way to bring it in. So basically, I've put up a month-long challenge for the bomb. So in the month, every time we get a super, so whether it be a super chat, a super thanks, we're going to count that as a number, and we're going to knock that number up every single one. And when we get to 25, I'm going to take the bomb again. Oh boy! So a full teaspoon of the bomb. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be fun. But yeah, that's what that is. So it's a countdown. We'll see it go through the month, and it'll slowly climb, and we'll see what happens. AA says, congrats on 5,000 plus. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, no, it was nice hitting 5,000. The next celebration video is going to be at 7,500. And well, we probably it won't take us that long to get there. Like, we're already past 5,100. So we're climbing. Let's see. Tim says, World Junior Hockey bronze medal overtime. If Sweden beats Czech, I'm doing some private investment into IKEA. Nice. Northwest Health hasn't moved much with the latest rate cuts. Thoughts? Takes time for them to filter in. Like most other REITs, I think Northwest Health will rebound in 2025. So I'm definitely happy about that. AA says January 7th show will be for members only. No, it's for everybody. Yeah. The only, we have one live stream every month that is members only. So, and that one there is right here on January 23rd. There's a channel members live stream. So that there is just for the channel members. However, that's for a year, right? So next January, this January's members only live stream, I make it public. So it's actually funny. I just made this last January's one public, it actually did really well. It was a retirement income ETFs. I think that's what we were looking at. So, but yeah, I do that. So it only stays private for a year. Now, the other thing you will see on the schedule is this here, the subscriber. Sorry. Oh, that's not the subscriber sponsored video. This one is. This is actually the members' choice video. Better change that. Well, now what happens with the members' choice video is you guys, all the whole community gives me ideas for videos they want to see. I take the top 4 of them to the channel members, and then they vote on which one I'm doing. So we call it the members' choice video. Now, the channel members, there we go. The channel members also get to watch all of my videos one day sooner. So, for example, that January 7th show, they'll be able to watch that tomorrow. I'll probably have that up before noon tomorrow, and they can watch it they get a day. They get a day to watch it before everybody else does. So that's kind of one of the advantages of the membership. I'm always looking to add things, for the channel members anyway. Also, usually if a channel member asks for a deep dive, I'll usually put it as a higher priority. All right. Max says, I think they had some management issues. Apparently management was stealing money or something. Oh, yeah, that's never good. I mean, they'll still rebound. I mean, it's going to be hard not to. Like, it's going to be with REITs. It's a situation where, you know, how when the tide goes up, all the boats rise. We're going to have a similar situation with REITs as we move into 2025. Now, keep in mind, if something absolutely horrific, black swan wise happens, all rules can be thrown out the window in a black swan event. Max says, I've been stuck with that one for a while as well. All right. Let's see, JJ at $3 a month dividend, that is $6,000 a month USD or $8,667 a month Canadian. That's not too shabby. King of Day says, sorry, I got pulled into a quick meeting. Thank you for the membership. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Let's see. Missed that. We'll have to look this up after the stream. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Whew. All right. Almost out of coffee, guys. Almost out of coffee. I have to say, this has been one fantastic stream. I'm really looking forward, though, to next week. And I'll tell you why, because I have a feeling we're going to have a lot of Trudeau drama this week. And I think that's going to make next week absolutely crazy. So I am looking forward to that. Yeah. So guys, I think we're heading into the end here. I'm going to pull this out here. Well, we've gone 2 hours and 17 minutes. Not too shabby, not too shabby. We will, of course, be back on Wednesday. Wednesday, we got a market close. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, more videos. And pretty soon, that first sponsored video is going to come out too. It's not going to take the place of any of the current videos. It's going to be a bonus video. So that one's pretty cool. I have already filmed it. I still have to send it off to Evolve and get them to stamp off on it and a whole bunch of other little things. But it's getting pretty darn close. So until Wednesday, guys, thank you for being here. This was a great stream. You guys all rock. And you know what? We'll see you guys again soon. Take care and have a great what's left of your weekend. Bye, everybody.